Hi everybody, I'm Tom, and this is Our Recovery Life. We have a special guest today, Angela. She's come to tell us a little bit about CPS cases, how that works, women in recovery that think maybe they can't get their kids back, so they want to give up. She's going to talk a little bit about that. So, welcome Angela. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate being able to be here. Tom had asked me to come on, and we were going to talk about my story, but he had asked me to be specific and talk about more of a CPS case and what has gone on with my life and my recovery. Being that I've had a few CPS cases and I have 5 children. So I guess really what it starts with is, when you're told that you have to be in recovery, that you have to go to treatment, that you have to do these things in order to keep your kids, it's really hard. Because you can do it for a good period of time, and you can find recovery because somebody tells you have to. But right. To maintain that, in the back of your mind, you have that reservation, know. And so, I had my first CPS case with my first 2 kids. And then I went back to using, whether it was for whatever reason it was for. Mine specifically was because I wanted to be with a male who wasn't good for me, was unhealthy for me, and was the kids' father. And I thought that was what was good for all of us, And then I had another kid. And I had my 3 kids by the time before 2006. Okay. So, and I had been in and out of recovery. So, my first time in recovery was 98, and then I had a little bit of time, and I do really good, and then I had another kid in 2001, and then I do really good for a little while, and then and then I'd fall off, lose my kids. CPS would come into my life. They'd make me go to treatment, and I do okay for a little while. But there was that piece of I didn't know if I really could do recovery. I didn't know if I was worth being their mother.
Okay.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Being there, because I didn't know I was worth more than that. I didn't realize that there was more to life, being a mom, when you're in recovery, if you can just get over that hump. Right. That first year, that first 2 years where you're trying to maintain, your kids have trauma, there's therapy, there's schooling, you got to go to work, you got to find daycare, you got all these things that happen in early recovery, and you have to figure out how to maintain all that by yourself for the most part.
Right. That can get to be really overwhelming.
Right. And so then if you don't have anybody to lean on, if you don't have a good support network, I was grateful I had a great support network from my family, But if you don't have any of them things, you feel overwhelmed. And then they say, okay, now go to a meeting. And then take your kids to a meeting because you don't have any other choice, right?
Right.
And so then that can be overwhelming because sometimes it makes you feel like that they're a burden.
Right. Well, I have kids.
Right.
Bringing them to the meeting, it's like you don't get to go to the meeting.
Right.
You're always worried about what they're doing and.
Right. Yeah. And that can be hard, and that can make you feel like, why am I doing this? Why am I even going to that meeting, right? Because I'm not getting anything out of it. But I think it's the action of going and showing up and getting to know people and and letting people get to know your kids that makes it okay.
Right.
And so then I had 2 more kids. So I had 3 kids. In 2011, I went back to using, and I had my 3 kids. My youngest was 4 at the time, and I hadn't really used for quite some time, but I had all the behaviors behind it.
Right.
And I would periodically drink, but there were so many behaviors behind it that it wasn't, there was no recovery in my life.
Right. Just abstinence.
I was just abstinent,
right.
And I was angry, and I was a couch mom. I used to call myself a couch mom because I was one of them, don't do that. I have to get up, and, I was just that, and I never got up. I'm going to count to 3, and they already knew that I wasn't going to get up. They knew how far to push me, because that was what they were used to, you know.
So if they didn't get close enough to the couch for you to reach them,
Right.
they were good to go.
Exactly. You know, exactly. You know, and another piece is that when I did change, they didn't know how to act.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
Right. So, like, when I did get into recovery and I did want to be a better mom and I did want to lower my voice and I didn't want to yell and scream and swear at them, they didn't know how to react to it. Because the norm to them was to be called, you know, a jerk or whatever the case may be. That was normal for them.
Chaos.
Just complete chaos all the time, you know. Moving and you're going to stay with this person at this time and you're going to be with this person at this time and I'm going to go to this job and I'm buying a different, you know, it was always complete chaos. You know, so when it wasn't, they didn't know how to react. So then it was like, you know, it was that difference because they were so used to the trauma of the chaos that when we tried to do things normal, that wasn't their normal.
Right.
Right. So it was like, it was just really difficult. You know, I had 2 more kids. God gave me these beautiful twins. And by the grace of God, they saved my life. I didn't know that I could be the mom I am today.
Yeah.
Because recovery has showed me that. But I wanted to be a better mom. I just wanted to be a better mom. And, you know, when I got my last CPS case with the twins, you know, I was up to 20 weeks pregnant with the boys. And I'm not really ashamed to say that today.
Right.
Because that's life. And that's real, you know. And when they told me that I was in family drug court, and I was this close to not having them. If it wasn't for Journey Home, which sucks that it's not there anymore.
Right.
If it wasn't for Journey Home, I wouldn't have my twins today.
Wow.
Because they told the CPS worker that I was going to be okay, to let me have them boys, that I was going to be okay. So my last CPS case was in 2012. I've been clean since September 12th, 2012.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And it was then that I just decided that I just wanted to be a better mom. I just wanted to learn how to be a better mom and to be a better single mom. And my biggest thing that I used to tell people is that if you can learn how to love yourself, then you can teach your kids how to love themselves.
Right.
You know, and if you can't do that, like, there's that piece that's such a missing piece in your life. Like, you want to raise your kids and you want your kids to be good kids, but there's so much chaos all the time. You know, and now I just have, what do I call it? I call it constructive chaos, because I still have chaos in my life, but it's swimming, hockey, gymnastics.
Mom stuff.
Right? School, friends, you know, I mean, the lake, you know, I mean, things like that now it's good chaos. It's all, you know, very constructive, I guess is what I call it, you know. But the last time I had a CPS case, I knew that it was my last chance. And I knew that if I couldn't make this, that I would never see any of my kids, you know. And, you know, I had the twins. I couldn't see any of my other kids. And I just kept plugging away. And I just kept fighting to be a better mom.
Right.
And I knew that the only way I could learn how to be a better mom is that if I could learn how to be better to myself. And to be in recovery. And to find a support network. And to find women in life in my life that matter, you know.
Right.
And I've done that, you know. I have an amazing support network of women that if I'm in a struggle with my kids or whatever, like, I can pick up the phone, you know. The twins were 2 years old and I had to drive to Mississippi to pick up one of my kids. And I had nobody to watch them. And I had 2 friends just say, I'll take them.
Right.
No problem, no questions asked, you know. And I was able to do that because of the support network I have, you know.
Right.
So, you know, now it's been, you know, now my kids are 22, 19, 13, and the twins are 8. And I hadn't seen my daughter, my 13-year-old, for 9 years. 5 years I didn't even speak to her. And then I fought in court for 3 years to see her, and now she lives with me.
That's amazing.
you know, such a gift of, and so I just don't ever stop fighting, you know, just continue to know that you're worth that and your kids are worth that, you know, and it may not seem like it sometimes, like days can get really hard and it's hard to be a single parent. It was hard. I'm not anymore, thank God, you know, but if I had to be, it would be okay too.
Right.
You know, but being a single parent was one of the most challenging thing I did. Being a single parent in early recovery was probably one of the most challenging things I ever had to do in my life. Because it was easy to just give up and throw in the towel and have somebody else raise your kids, or, you know, to say that I can't do this, or this is an excuse, or, you know, that they're better off without me. Because that was always my excuse. Well, they're better off without me. My mom can do a better job than I can.
So what was the one thing the last time that when the light went on and you're like, I can do this, I'm going to do this?
I think I got to a point where I remember waking up and I had been on a bender for 3-4 days, and I woke up and I still had the twins, and I had been county hopping because I knew CPS was going to get me, right? So I was kind of county hopping, and I woke up and I looked down at my twins, and tears just started flowing, and I knew that I was going to lose them too, because I hadn't seen my other kids, and I hadn't seen them for a couple years, you know, and that was my light. Like, you're going to lose them too, and then who are you? Because I'd been a mom since I was 20 years old, so I only know how to be a mom, you know. I mean, I know a lot more about myself, and I know who I am as a person, but at that time, I was a mom. You know, and that was my light, that spiritual awakening that said, you're going to lose these two, and who are you going to become? Because, you know, then what did I have to live for?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
On the kids thing,
the
recovery.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is that, 8 years you're
Almost
coming up
8
on?
years, yeah.
Yeah? That's awesome.
So it's just a matter of to not give up.
Just
right?
don't give up.
You know, when you're in recovery and you don't have kids, right? Because you know what that is. And the first couple of years are hard anyway.
Oh, for sure.
They're hard. Any way you look at it. There's nothing easy about it. You know? The easy part is going to meetings and meeting new people and finding that you enjoy things in life, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard that way. And so to add children on top of it who may have trauma or may have mental health issues or may have all these things, that can be really hard.
Right.
But
totally worth it.
Totally worth it. Now I have all my kids in my life. I have a grandson who's 18 months old.
Nice.
And I wouldn't give it up for the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming and talking about that. And we're going to do your story next week, the whole thing, start to finish.
Okay.
So, but yeah, thanks for sharing on the CPS stuff. If you're out there and you're thinking about giving up, don't. Obviously, it can work, and you're worth it. So fight the good fight, keep it clean.
Awesome. Thanks.